Have you ever felt the need for others to approve of your actions? Do you feel insecure if you don't receive likes or positive comments? You are deeply affected by what others think of you. Rejection causes you great emotional pain, and you find it difficult to overcome situations in which you do not feel valued or accepted. The opinions of others have an excessive weight on your self-esteem and well-being. External validation is the constant search for approval and recognition from others. It is as if our self-esteem depended on what others think of us. It's time for you to break the chains and free yourself from the need and dependence on the opinions of those who do not know your essence, do not live your life, and are not in your shoes. Today we are going to talk about something that affects us all at some point: validation. And that is why this video is about how to validate yourself. We tell you, stop looking for external validation, increase your self-esteem, and level up. Seeking validation is the quickest way to betray yourself, and in the process of doing so, you are not only saying that you don't trust yourself, but that you rely on others for better self-esteem, and that outside opinions are more important than your own. By engaging in this behavior, you not only lose yourself, but you will find it difficult to love and value yourself. You could spend your entire life chasing others and still never feel fulfilled. Why? Because you haven't taken the time to build a safe, supportive, validating, loving home to return to within yourself. Learning to validate yourself will maximize your independence, allowing you to fully understand yourself so you can be your own best friend. Self-validation is the master key to unlocking your full potential. By learning to recognize and value yourself, you will develop a deeper understanding of who you are and what you are capable of. This introspection will allow you to build a strong relationship with yourself, becoming your own confidant and advocate. The independence that comes from this self-acceptance will empower you to make authentic choices and live a fuller, more satisfying life. To effectively address this need for validation, it is critical that we delve deeper into its origins. By fully understanding the roots of this behavior, we can develop personalized strategies to transform it. 1. Why do we seek validation? Seeking approval is a universal experience, but each individual experiences it uniquely. This diversity manifests itself in 5 main dimensions of validation: romantic, social, community, family, and academic. Each of these areas contributes a different facet to our innate need for recognition and belonging. Now let's dig a little deeper into the features of each of these validations. Romantic validation. When we talk about romantic validation, we are referring to the need to be accepted as we are, with our strengths and vulnerabilities. It is the desire to find a love that allows us to be authentic and express our feelings without fear of judgment, to feel understood, accepted, and valued by our partner. It is the constant search for an authentic emotional connection where our experiences, feelings, and thoughts are recognized and celebrated. In essence, it is the desire to find someone who sees beyond our imperfections and makes us feel confident in our own skin. Social validation. The need for recognition and approval through interactions with those around us or online through social media, such as likes, comments, and followers. The constant search for validation on social media reflects a deep human need for recognition and approval. Likes, positive comments, and increased followers become a kind of social currency, fueling self-esteem and a sense of belonging. However, this over-reliance on external validation can have negative consequences for mental health, leading to social comparisons, anxiety, and low self-esteem. Community validation. The need for social validation is an inherent human drive, a deep longing to feel connected, valued, and part of a larger group. This search for recognition is manifested in our constant aspiration to belong to communities, whether they are work-related, social or virtual. The feeling of being accepted and appreciated by others gives us a sense of identity and self-esteem, strengthening our emotional well-being. However, when this need for validation becomes excessive or is based on unhealthy external sources, it can cause us suffering. The constant search for approval from others can generate an emotional dependence that limits our autonomy and makes us vulnerable to the opinions of others. An underlying lack of self-esteem can lead us to settle for unsatisfying roles and relationships in order to avoid rejection. Family validation. The need for family validation transcends the simple search for love and support. It becomes a constant struggle for approval and recognition from the members of our family unit. This quest, often rooted in low self-esteem and a deep fear of rejection, can generate a series of negative consequences in our lives. When we desperately crave family validation, we find ourselves trapped in an endless cycle of approval seeking. Every interaction with our loved ones becomes an opportunity to measure our worth and prove our value. This need, far from being satisfied, can intensify over time, generating a feeling of emptiness and frustration that makes it difficult to establish authentic and healthy relationships. The lack of self-esteem underlying this need leads us to condition our happiness on the opinion of others. We become puppets of family expectations, sacrificing our own desires and needs for the sake of pleasing those around us. This dynamic can generate a deep feeling of alienation and disconnection from ourselves, preventing us from developing our own identity and reaching our full potential. The fear of rejection, on the other hand, paralyzes us and limits our actions. Afraid of being judged or rejected, we avoid expressing our opinions, defending our boundaries, or making decisions that might displease our family members. This constant self-censorship prevents us from living a full and authentic life and can lead to long-term resentment and frustration. The need for family validation, seen from a negative perspective, reveals a complex network of emotions and behaviors that can limit our personal growth and hinder our relationships. Academic validation. The relentless quest for academic validation, manifested in the yearning for recognition and the desire to excel in the educational field, can become a source of great pressure. Those who feel an intense need for external approval often experience underlying low self-esteem, constantly fearing rejection and judgment from others. This pressure can lead to unhealthy behaviors such as procrastination, excessive perfectionism, or even academic fraud, all in a desperate attempt to meet other people's expectations. It can have a significant impact on mental health. Low self-esteem and fear of failure, which often accompany this need, can lead to anxiety, stress, and depression. By conditioning personal value on academic results, an emotional dependency is created that can be detrimental to overall well-being. Constant social comparison, motivated by the search for academic validation, can erode self-esteem and generate feelings of inferiority. Measuring one's own worth based on the achievements of others fosters unfair competition that can lead to social isolation and a distorted view of one's own capabilities. The need to stand out above others can become an emotional burden that is difficult to bear. Academic validation can be deeply rooted in identity construction. For some people, educational achievements become a fundamental part of their self-concept. When these achievements do not meet expectations, or when they face academic failures, an identity crisis can occur that significantly affects their self-esteem and emotional well-being. 2. A never-ending quest. The quest for validation seems to be an endless cycle. You can get the likes and have lots of followers. You can get the guy of your dreams to like you. You can be sought after by the most popular guys. But you never feel satisfied. You keep immersed in a never-ending search. You never feel fulfilled. You are always chasing something you can't find. And this is because you are chasing the wrong thing. First of all, you have to recognize, understand that validation begins and ends within yourself. When you seek external validation, it is because you have a very weak self-perception with a very unstable foundation for your self-esteem. Now, what do I mean by an unstable foundation of your self-esteem? For example, when a stranger insults or disapproves of you on social media, you feel deeply insecure. This intense reaction reveals a vulnerability in your self-esteem, which is shaken by any criticism, even from someone you don't know. When your self-worth depends largely on the opinion of others, any criticism, no matter how small, can generate a deep feeling of insecurity. When someone questions your worth, it can feel like a direct attack on your identity, exacerbating your insecurities. How to stop constantly seeking approval from others? The key is to align your authentic self with your social self. Many of us create a facade, an idealized version of ourselves that we present to the world. An edited version that hides aspects that could generate conflict or judgment. In an attempt to please and avoid confrontation, we tend to soften our opinions, suppress our emotions, and conform to what we think others expect of us. This discrepancy between who you really are and how you present yourself can lead to an unhealthy dependence on external validation. This constant self-censorship can limit our relationships and hinder our personal growth. Sometimes, in our desire to connect with others and make friends, we may be tempted to modify our personality. We mistakenly believe that by adapting to the tastes and opinions of others, we will increase our chances of being accepted and loved, when in reality, this can lead us to lose our authenticity. By connecting with your true self and expressing your thoughts and feelings in a genuine way, you will free yourself from the need to please others and strengthen your self-esteem. So now let me reassure you, it's not your fault that you seek validation. I understand that you feel pressured to constantly seek approval from others. It is important for you to know that this is not a reflection of your worth as a person, but rather a consequence of past experiences. Probably, during your childhood or adolescence, you did not receive the validation and recognition you needed to develop strong self-esteem. This may have created an internal need to seek approval from others, especially authority figures or significant others. Validation, that innate need to be seen, understood, and appreciated, is a fundamental pillar for emotional well-being. When we are denied this validation, especially early in life, we can develop unhealthy behavior patterns such as constantly seeking external approval. This can manifest itself in the need to please others, either by seeking validation from male figures or from our social circle, in a desperate attempt to feel valued. However, even though it is not your fault, it is your responsibility to make a better life for your current self. Your mission is to be there for yourself, so that you don't continue to suffer in the long run, because at the end of the day, you need to believe, or rather, more than believe. You need to be sure that you are beautiful enough, you are smart enough, you are desirable enough, and you are deserving enough of everything you desire. You are worthy enough to be validated, but only by yourself, and you must raise that self-validation to such a high standard that the opinions of others no longer matter. 3. Don't seek male validation. What if I told you that your worth is intrinsic, that it doesn't need anyone's approval, much less male validation? The quest for male validation has deep roots in our society. For centuries, we have been taught that our worth lies in our ability to please men. From beauty standards imposed by the fashion industry to traditional gender roles, the pressure to conform to a feminine ideal has been constant. This constant search for validation can have devastating consequences on our self-esteem and our relationships. We may feel insecure, constantly compare ourselves to other women, and be afraid to express our opinions. This can also lead us to make decisions that are not aligned with our values and desires. What if, starting today, you start walking a new path? The path of self-acceptance and female empowerment. Liberation begins when we realize that our happiness does not depend on anyone else's approval. It's time to cultivate self-love and self-confidence. We can fill the emptiness we feel inside ourselves with self-love, but sometimes that is difficult for us. So you go out and find other people to fulfill you, maybe with a compliment, a text from a guy, an invitation on a date. This will give you a quick hit of dopamine that will give you pleasure, but only for a short time. The effect will wear off so quickly that you won't feel satisfied. Take men down from their pedestals and put yourself in their place. Tell yourself that you are enough, you always have been, and you always will be. What others say or think about you does not matter to you. Repeat it as many times as you can, until you convince yourself that it is your reality, until you embody the energy of being that girl. You are unique, and just because some other girl gets more male attention than you, it doesn't take away from your beauty or your value as a woman. Don't let male validation define you, because men's tastes vary greatly. It may be that something about you doesn't please one of them, and yet that same detail enchants another. For some, you will be charming, for others perhaps a toxic witch. So don't worry, don't seek their validation, first because only you have the power to value yourself, and second, because they can admire feminine beauty and value, but from a subjective point of view and far from your reality. What's next? Figure out your attachment style. If you're looking for male validation, then you probably have some attachment issues. The constant need for male approval, often rooted in childhood experiences of insecure attachment, can manifest itself in adult behavior patterns that constantly seek external validation. These women, having not developed strong self-esteem in their early years, may feel an excessive emotional dependence on the opinions of others, especially men, as a way of compensating for perceived deficiencies in their identity. This constant search for external approval can generate anxiety, low self-esteem, and make it difficult to build healthy interpersonal relationships. By conditioning your own worth on the opinions of others, you create a cycle of emotional dependency that can be difficult to break. These schemas, shaped by early attachment experiences, can lead to limiting beliefs about one's own worth and lovability. In adulthood, these patterns may manifest in the constant search for male approval as a way to confirm these negative beliefs. What can we do to free ourselves from this attachment? Leaving behind the constant search for male approval is a journey of self-discovery that will lead you to discover your true values and strengths. By challenging social norms and building strong self-esteem, you can free yourself from the need for external validation and live a more authentic life aligned with your desires and aspirations. Work on how to master detachment and your insecurities. It will be like a kind of detox. It is not an instant process. It takes time, but once you overcome it, you will have gained another perspective. You will no longer try to impress men, you will no longer seek their validation, and detachment will become part of your life strategy. The man will become the jury and judge of your femininity, the understanding and respectful partner of your essence. You will go from being a woman in need of approval to an admirable, confident, independent, empowered woman with overwhelming magnetism. You no longer need someone else to tell you that you are beautiful or that they like you, because what you think of yourself is the only thing that matters. 4. Stop pleasing people. Constantly pleasing others in an attempt to gain their approval can lead to a dissociation with our own identity. By prioritizing the needs and desires of others over our own, we run the risk of losing sight of who we really are and what truly makes us happy. Seeking validation through complacency can create a deep emotional void, By conditioning our happiness on external approval, we become puppets of the expectations of others, sacrificing our authenticity and personal well-being. We subject our minds to constant negative evaluation, as if our decisions and authenticity were not enough to validate us. Complacency can be a defense mechanism against fear of rejection. However, this long-term strategy can undermine our self-esteem and make it difficult to establish authentic relationships based on reciprocity and mutual respect. The constant search for approval through pleasing others is an addictive trap. Like other forms of external validation, it can become an endless cycle of seeking recognition that is never fully satisfied. Each time you get a sign of approval, it creates an even greater need to repeat the experience, creating an emotional dependency that makes it difficult to set healthy boundaries. So start spending time with yourself, and you will see how much fun it can be. Over time, you will enjoy it a little more each day. And when you fall in love with yourself, your standards will be very high, and you will be able to set boundaries without fear. When we set clear, healthy boundaries, we attract people who value our autonomy and respect. These people will not only accept our boundaries, but respect them as a sign of our self-care and self-love. Authentic relationships are built on the foundation of reciprocity and mutual respect, and boundaries are an essential component of this balance. You will no longer be the same accommodating and manipulable girl, because those around you will no longer be able to use your time, energy, space, resources, emotions, love, affection, and care. 5. Focus on improving yourself and your life. As you embark on a journey of self-discovery and personal growth, you will cultivate deep self-love and unshakable confidence. As you achieve your goals and celebrate your accomplishments, you will realize that true satisfaction comes from within. This new sense of fulfillment will free you from the constant need for external approval, as you will have found a source of internal validation that will sustain you at all times. By decreasing your need for external validation and constantly seeking approval from others, you will experience significant growth in your self-confidence. You will feel more confident in your decisions and actions without allowing other people's opinions to negatively influence your self-esteem. You will learn to enjoy your own company and establish more authentic and satisfying relationships. It's time to invest in yourself. Explore new opportunities that you're passionate about, such as starting a business, cultivating your hobbies, or joining a community that shares your interests. By devoting time and energy to activities that inspire you, you will not only be building a more fulfilling future, but you will also be developing your skills and growing as a person. When someone disapproves of you, judges you, or talks behind your back, you literally won't overreact or spend as much time thinking about it or even getting angry. You will be busy with the great things in your life and all the wonderful things you can do every day. Your brain will be too full of your own passion and mission in life that what someone else has to say will never affect you because you are too focused on yourself. The quickest way to stop explaining yourself is to remember that rejection is normal, losing people is normal, and getting over people is normal too. Do people exclude you, don't like you, or does the person you like not find you attractive? Well, understand that this does not define you, your character, or your work performance. That is their problem, not yours. Some people just aren't for us, or sometimes we just deserve better. Sometimes we go after something we thought we wanted, but that actually should never have come into our lives. Not all of them are meant for us, and you shouldn't even want all of them to be for you. It's a good thing that not everyone likes you. It protects you. Every human being on this planet, even the richest, most famous, and most successful, gets their share of rejections, failures, and life lessons. It's nothing personal, it's just life. 6. Create your personal outline. Developing a solid personal framework is like building a roadmap to self-confidence. By defining your values, goals, and beliefs, You provide yourself with an internal compass that guides you in making decisions and distances you from the constant need for external approval. This process of self-knowledge fosters genuine self-esteem, allowing you to trust in your own abilities and take control of your life. By building a clear and coherent personal framework, you are investing in your self-confidence. When you know your strengths, weaknesses, and what you truly value, you become less vulnerable to the opinions of others. The self-confidence that emerges from this process allows you to set healthy boundaries and make decisions aligned with your authentic desires. Your self-schema is like a personal portrait. It is a mental image of who you are, formed by your experiences, your thoughts, and your beliefs about yourself. Your personality traits, your habitual behaviors, and even the way you look physically contribute to building this complex and unique representation of yourself. Self-schema is about your self-image. It is about how you define yourself according to your personality traits, your behaviors, maybe even your physical features. Every person on this planet has a certain set of beliefs that contribute to their self-schema, their self-image. You have to do everything in your power to build a positive self-schema so that you no longer seek validation from others. Having strong self-esteem will help you avoid seeking external validation. So, how do we do this? Take a journey into your inner self and discover the treasure you carry within. Take time to explore your qualities, talents, and achievements. By recognizing and appreciating your favorite parts, you will strengthen your self-esteem and connect with your most authentic essence. Embrace and celebrate everything that makes you unique. Dive into a process of self-discovery to identify your strengths, virtues, and aspects that make you feel proud. By doing so, you will cultivate a more positive relationship with yourself. Also, make a detailed list of all the negative perceptions you have about yourself. Once you have identified these aspects, I suggest you analyze them carefully. Is there any evidence to support this belief? Is there any experience that contradicts it? By questioning these limiting thoughts, you will be able to free yourself from their influence and build a more positive and realistic image of yourself. Remember, your thoughts have the power to shape your reality. So choose to believe in the best of yourself. That's the beauty of personal growth. It's time to start seeing yourself as your current version. Waking up every morning as if today were the first day of your life will help you stop bringing rejections, mistakes, and embarrassing moments from the past into your present life. It will help you stop defining yourself through your past mistakes, through the past versions of yourself, who you also need to forgive, because they were who they were and acted the way they did because you didn't have a certain level of awareness at the time. Now you have grown, you are still growing, you do not need to continue looking at yourself through that outdated and opaque lens because you are no longer that person. Do a little reflection. You need to ask yourself, if I woke up today, if today were the first day of my life, with the things I have, the things I have achieved, and the newly discovered wisdom at this age, who would I be? What would I say? How would I act? What would I do? Go into your day the way you want to be, and instead of harboring resentments about your past self and your mistakes, shake them off, because focusing on negative memories will impact your self-image. 7. Achieve your own validation. The last piece of advice I'll give you today is a universal principle applicable to all forms of validation, but I'll illustrate it with emotional validation. You must understand that you are the only one who has lived your own experience. Even your closest loved ones cannot fully understand the complexity of your thoughts and feelings. Each person perceives you through a prism shaped by their own experiences and perspectives. Therefore, other people's opinions of you, while important, should never overshadow your own self-perception. Before seeking validation from others, it is essential that you validate your own emotions and experiences. No one knows you better than you do. Your parents, friends, and partner see you from the outside, through a limited lens. Your thoughts and feelings are uniquely yours and deserve to be acknowledged and accepted. Your life is a unique journey, a labyrinth of thoughts and emotions that only you know in depth. The opinions and judgments of others, no matter how well-intentioned, are just fragments of a puzzle that don't fit perfectly with the complete picture of who you are. Your internal reality is an exclusive territory, a sacred space where only you have the key, and the knowledge and opinions that others have about you do not really matter. No matter how long they've known you, they could never compare you, therefore other people could never, ever accurately validate you. The opinions and perceptions people have of you are based on their own life journey, their own mindset, their own upbringing, or projections of their traumas. Their opinions have nothing to do with you, everything to do with them, which means their validation of you isn't even real. Other people are unable to validate you because they don't have all the facts. The only person who has all the facts is you, which means you are the only person who can value yourself, and this ties into emotional validation. For example, if you're really upset, you're going through something, and you're explaining to someone why you're upset and what the situation is, and their response is that you're overreacting, that you should get over it, or be positive, that it's no big deal, that other people have it worse. This is so you see that other people's brains and emotions are not wired the same way as ours. So, what affects us may not affect them in the same way. That doesn't make our emotions any less valid. It just may have a completely different meaning. They may have an approach to the situation based on their own upbringing and mindset, which is totally different compared to us. So that doesn't put them in a position of authority to validate you and tell you what you should do or what's right for you. Only you can be the true judge. Other people's opinions of you don't diminish how bad your situation may be. If it hurts, your pain is valid. If it's affecting your emotions and making you feel weird, if you feel affected, your pain is valid. You don't need someone else to validate what you feel. Only you can validate your feelings and give yourself permission to express your negative emotions, whether it's sadness, anger, or whatever, which is why self-validation is so important. When you are angry about something, don't call anyone. Don't seek validation for your emotions. Start practicing how to deal with them and accept them. Then write a diary. You will realize the great importance of writing down your feelings, keeping a diary of everything you are going through. You're super angry, your emotions are running high, and instead of calling someone, you grab your journal and start writing. It's like talking to yourself. You can be completely authentic. You are privately getting rid of the weight of that bad situation that is easing because you have released it. Talking to yourself will also allow you to better understand the situation you are going through and your emotions. Maybe your emotions are still a little high. Then you can think about what you would like someone else to tell you. Imagine if you called a family member or friend and told them what was going on. What would you expect to hear from them? The answer is that whatever you hope to hear, say it to yourself. Whatever validation you are seeking from someone, whatever phrase you wish to be told, say it to yourself. It's as easy as saying to yourself, "I accept you. It makes sense that you're upset. You're not exaggerating. You're human. You have every right to feel upset, be in a bad mood, or depressed." If you are angry, don't bottle up your feelings. If you want to cry, it's okay to do so, and that's your right. In fact, that's a very healthy expression of your emotions, so you can deal with and process the situation and then move on. It's common for us to demand more from ourselves than we do from others. Often, self-criticism becomes so intense that we get lost in a labyrinth of unrealistic expectations, judging our reactions as wrong or exaggerated. It's as if we have an inner critic that constantly points out our mistakes, without giving us the necessary space to process emotions and learn from experiences. When we find it difficult to empathize with ourselves, we are denying a fundamental part of our humanity: vulnerability. It is normal to feel fear, sadness, or anger in certain situations. By punishing ourselves for these emotions, we only increase our suffering and hinder our ability to heal. It's important to remember that each person reacts differently to adversity. What may be overwhelming for you may be a mere annoyance for another. Comparing ourselves to others only leads to feeling inadequate. Instead of punishing yourself, try practicing self-compassion. Recognize yourself as an imperfect person who is doing the best they can at any given moment. Give yourself permission to feel what you feel without judging yourself. Accept that making mistakes is part of life and that they are opportunities to grow. Look at yourself through the lens of your inner child. You will instantly have much more compassion for yourself and treat yourself with much more kindness. That's the key to validating yourself. Stop placing your worth and expectations in the hands of others. Only you matter. You are more than enough. You don't need to seek approval from others. The need for validation is a complex aspect of human psychology that is often rooted in past experiences and deeply held beliefs. To transform this tendency and build stronger self-esteem, it is essential to embark on a journey of self-discovery. By exploring the roots of this need, we can identify the patterns of thinking and behavior that perpetuate it. This process will allow us to develop greater self-awareness and ultimately free ourselves from dependence on external approval. By fully understanding where this need for validation comes from, we can effectively work to replace it with a sense of security and confidence in our own abilities. Cultivating self-validation is essential to establishing healthy and meaningful relationships. When you feel confident in yourself and your worth, you are able to set clear boundaries and express your needs assertively. By letting go of the need for external validation, you free yourself from emotional dependency and become a more balanced and present partner for others. Self-validation is the first step towards emotional well-being. By learning to recognize and accept your emotions, both positive and negative, you will develop greater resilience and ability to face life's challenges. By stopping comparing yourself to others and focusing on your own strengths, you will build strong self-esteem that will protect you from anxiety and depression. Remember, self-validation is a journey of self-discovery that will lead you to a more authentic and happy life. By learning to recognize and value yourself, you will develop unshakable confidence that will allow you to make decisions aligned with your values and achieve your goals. This emotional independence will allow you to build healthier relationships, overcome obstacles more easily, and enjoy the fuller, more satisfying life you deserve. That's it for today's journey. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If it resonated with you, give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to leave your comments. Remember that your opinion is very important and enriches our community. I look forward to seeing you at our next meeting to continue our fascinating journey together, unraveling the mysteries of the human mind.